Mocha Mama here, back for segment number 2 of our series Coffee Talk. Today's topic is very interesting. Today we're going to be talking about marriage. This topic is significant with me because I consider myself a unique situation, or maybe not so unique, because waking up this morning, current events, which I typically don't follow, but apparently what's trending today is the incident with Kimbella and Jules Santana. Now, some of you may or may not know Kimbella as Jules Santana's baby mom, and she was on one of those reality shows. I think it was like Hip Hop Wives or something like that. Anywho, apparently Jules Santana is expected to spend some time in jail. I don't know if he's already confirmed to go to jail or if it's, possible that he'll go to jail. Nonetheless, he proposed to her on stage after them being together for, 10 years or something excessive like that. And through, as they describe it, multiple incidents of infidelity, abuse, complete neglect. And she went out on Twitter and tweeted out basically how she was overjoyed in basically the proposal and looking forward to being his wife, through all of that, and basically claiming herself to be that ride or die. So I digress. I'm going to basically speak on that more towards the end. What I did want to do is really kind of get into some of the technical aspects of marriage, how it relates to my situation, and then we'll circle back to my opinions about Kimbella. But I did want to kind of put that out there because it is something that's trending today, and it happens to coincide with today's topic. So, let's really get into it, right? So, marriage. Previously, what we typically see in the structure of marriage is, you grow up, you find the supposed love of your life, you get married, you start a family, whether it's for religious reasons, whether you're trying to please your family, whatever the case may be. So, went out and did a little bit of research myself into different reasons why people get married, right? So, I came across some topics in terms of the pros, right? People want to publicly declare their union and commitment. So they want to put it out there that I'm the husband, I'm the wife. The guy is the knight in shining armor. He chose his wife. He's doing the right thing. Number 2, they said, was sense of security during tough times. So as you're going through the ups and downs of relationships, you feel a little bit more secure in knowing that you're married to this person and not necessarily going to jump ship. The 3rd, working together as a team. So you have these common goals that you're working towards, perhaps building a family structure. Okay, that's cool. They also said sense of contentment and settling down. So you become content in knowing that you found your lifelong partner, you're no longer searching, you kind of settle in and get comfortable, right? Then they said better than the rest. So you're basically like boasting, I'm the chosen one. He chose me, I chose her. There's the shared benefits and tax breaks that some people enjoy about being married. Funny enough, when it comes down to those things, people are eager to jump into marriage for those simple reasons. Have more sex. So statistically, I came across where they said married couples do have more sex, whereas the stigma is when you get married, life is boring, your sex life goes to hell, and all of that. But contrary to that, I don't know how true, but statistics are when you're married, you have more sex. I can believe that simply because some people actually wait till marriage because they feel comfortable with that partner. They're not necessarily worrying about STDs because they feel committed. So they're more eager or more open to experimentation, doing, what, some people call freaky, SITH. So they kind of open up, and they're willing to experiment more with their partner because now they've chosen their husband, they've chosen their wife, and they really want to get to experiment with new things in the bedroom. So I can believe that one. And then lastly, and some people will put this as the first option, religious beliefs. All right, good points, right? And a lot of the reasons why people get into marriages, but some will argue that those are pretty much all the wrong reasons to get married, and that's why the divorce rates are at an all-time high. Or specifically in the black community, marriages aren't necessarily appealing. You don't see a lot of dual parent households or, black men and women getting married. You see biracial relationships exceeding those of just completely minority men and women together. All right. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the cons. So this is basically some research that I did, and people kind of spoke on how they felt the pros were not really pros. All right. So monogamy commitment. People will argue that, marriage means that it's monogamous, that it's committed. People will also argue that marriage couples still cheat. Whether it's the man that cheats, the woman that cheats, whether you're mentally considering cheating or just unhappy. But the institution of marriage, they argue, does not guarantee monogamy or commitment. Therefore, you should not use that as a reason to get married. Taxes, as I mentioned previously. Statistics show that most people don't benefit if they have equal or higher salary earners. So if you exceed, they say on average, 30K in salary of combined income, you're not really receiving tax breaks unless, of course, you have other things such as like running a business and investment income and things like that. So the normal household that will typically just claim themselves and their spouse and their child don't really get the type of tax breaks that they think they are going to get when they get married. So that also is a misconception. Kids, staying together for the kids. And I'll read this verbatim. It says, evidence indicates that school achievement and behavioral problems are similar among children living with both parents regardless of marital status. So basically, y'all, it comes down to, it's not the concept of marriage that keeps your kids sane or well-behaved or productive members of society. It's the fact that they see that their parents are together, hopefully in harmony, hopefully expressing love for each other. So they don't really understand marriage. That is kind of more imposed on them through society. And as they grow up and learn things, they just want to see mom and dad together, period. Then there is the public declaration. So this is also, again, keeping up with the Joneses, making a statement. So, you want to impress your girlfriend's parents or your boyfriend's parents, or, you want society to accept the fact that you're now past the age of 35 and you've settled down. Whatever those stigmas are. So marrying to please others or live up to the social standards, desire for acceptance. So us as human beings typically have this growing desire to feel accepted, whether by their peers or in relationships or family members overall. So that's another driving factor for getting married. The security factor that I mentioned before, so it's basically marrying to trap one another or out of fear of being alone. So, you get into this marriage and you think that you're secure, but it's a false sense of security because, underlyingly it's either I don't want to be alone, or I'm at a certain age and I need to be married, I need to be settled down. So essentially you're almost, either entrapping yourself or the other person if either one of you are not fully committed to the relationship and you're just doing it just to do it. Also, outside of that statement, contracts can be broken. Again, infidelity or divorce. Just because you're married does not mean that you can't find a way out of it, whether by truth or lie. And then another statement that was made during my research is that security becomes comfort, and comfort leads to lazy. Because relationships do require work, being lazy is a huge reason why people get divorced. So if you're not willing to put in the work outside of marriage, don't think that marriage is all of a sudden going to be the safety guard that keeps both of you together. So basically it comes down to the big question again. So why get married? And ultimately it depends on your goals and your values. What makes you happy? So this is where I basically want to transition and kind of tell my story. So marriage For me. So I consider myself, as I referred to in previous posts, my blog is broken down into the three pillars. So me, the woman, me, the wife, me, the mother. But socially, the socially accepted definition of marriage, I am not that. So I consider myself a wife, but on paper, I am not married. I am not legally married to my significant other, the father of my child. I do live in a common law state where, because we own a home together, we share assets, we have a child, those type of things that would consider union. Legally, we would be considered married, but I do not have his last name, and he did not get down on one knee and propose. Also, we do wear rings from time to time. So for me, the ring thing is really to make my ego feel comfortable in society. Like, I don't like the awkward glares, especially from Caucasians or other races. Unfortunately, when perhaps I take my son to the doctor or to daycare, and they'll say, what's your son's last name? And they'll ask me, what's my last name? And you get that look like, why the difference? Oh, just another black woman that doesn't have a husband type thing. So every now and then I'll entertain wearing a ring just to avoid those awkward conversations, or I'll say I'm engaged, or, something else like that. Basically, to either make myself feel comfortable or others feel comfortable. Overall, though, I still have values. I aspire for marriage, but I am not in any particular rush for it, because, as I mentioned in some of the statistics, my commitment is not tied to the institution of marriage. I'm committed to my man, and my man is committed to me, whether or not we share a last name, I wear a ring, or there is some sort of marriage certificate involved. I have been proposed to before. I've had the opportunity to get married in a previous relationship, but knew that there were a lot of issues in the relationship where ultimately I would not be happy. So I walked away from that. And then now in my current relationship, basically still working through things. Just because we have a baby does not mean that our relationship is perfect. We do have some things that we are working through that I would prefer that we sort through before jumping into marriage. But for me, as far as values and what makes me happy, it's really superficial. I want the last name. Simple as that. Like, I'm not the girl that you need to go spend $5,000 on a ring, and I would love the honeymoon because I like to travel. So you definitely, if you're not gonna spend that $8,000 on that ring, babe, if you listening, you ain't got to spend $8,000 on the ring. But I tell you, you're gonna spend $8,000 on that Hawaii vacation we gonna take. Anyway, I digress. But for me, I don't need all that extra lavish. I don't need to go into debt over a wedding. I literally could go down to the courthouse and go out to eat afterwards. But I do want that last name. Why? Because I want my son to see what a successful black relationship looks like. I want him to see that his father chose me and wanted our family to continue the legacy, carry on the last name, and live proudly and committed with each other. That's what I want for my family. That's what I want for my child. I grew up where my mother remarried. So my mother and my father were divorced, and my mother remarried, and thankfully my stepfather was everything to me. I never felt like I was lacking. So I basically did have a family unit, but in my household, I was the only one with my last name. Everyone else had my stepdad's last name. So that made me feel a little outcasted, and I think that's also why that is a value for me in the concept of marriage, of wanting to have that last name and wanting to feel that bond, that unity, etc. What else? So yes, really the last name, continuing to work through struggles and issues in my relationship so that we are strong, so that we can be role models, great role models for our son, and that we're not just staying together for the kid. I don't want to stay together for my kid. I want my son to truly see what black love looks like. So yeah, that's basically my story. So yes, I am a wife. Yes, I conduct myself as such on paper. I am not legally married, but that does not change the dynamic of my relationship. So for those of you out there struggling with that, stay in your truth. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. If you have a committed relationship and you go however many years for whatever your personal reasons are, be happy in that. So I'll transition back to Kimbella and Jules Santana before I kind of sign off. So the difference with that dynamic is he clearly does not value her as a woman. And this is basically just a ploy to trap her. Like I said, sense of security, right? He knows that she wants marriage. He knows that because he's the father of her 2 children, she kind of stays and tolerates the bad behavior. He's physically abused her. He's cheated on her. He's neglected her in God knows how many ways outside of what the public already knows. And yet she still considers herself a ride or die. The man is going away to jail. So unless this is something strategic to her where she thinks, okay, I'm going to marry this guy because perhaps he has some money stashed away or some royalties that are still coming in from his past albums, and she wants access to that while he's in jail, and she'll probably move on to another man and he won't know any different. Hey, that's your business if that's what you want to do. But if you are truly going to commit yourself to this man while he is locked up for 20 plus years, and you don't even know the type of man he'll be when he comes out, because he hasn't proven himself to be much of a man up to this point. But girlfriend, if that is your plan, you are doing this for all the wrong reasons. I will repeat, you are doing it for everything that I described as some of the cons for marriage. That is you, Kimbella. You have to at some point rise up and value yourself. I'm not talking down to her. I see a lot of people bashing her, making fun of her, calling her stupid. Listen, I have been cheated on in relationships myself. I've been cheated on for another woman. I have been cheated on for substance abuse. Women get neglected in many, many ways in relationships, and you'll start off saying, oh, I'm not going to put up with this and I'm not going to put up with that. But honey, when it comes down to it and the shoe is on the other foot, you'll be surprised what you put up with, depending on your reasons for staying. So I'm never here to judge another woman when she makes a decision to do something, because we don't know what her intentions are. It could simply be for financial security why she's marrying this man. We don't know that. But I would say to her, if it's not, and it's an issue of lacking self-worth, insecurities, or anything that falls into that category, I would say to her, sis, know that you are worthy. Know that you are valued. Know that you are a queen, and women are the pillars. We hold everything together. We hold our families together. We hold ourselves together. We hold up our men. We fight every single day in society. At one point, women were treated just like slaves, as properties. That's why you have all these women rights movements today. Women are very, very powerful, and when a woman taps into her worth, trust me, she's a force to be reckoned with. And Kimbella is a beautiful, beautiful girl. Like physically, based on social standards, I find her to be an attractive girl. So people would think, oh, she can pull anybody she wants. But if you're insecure, or if you're stuck on, this one man, you're never going to be able to think outside of what's in front of you. So I say all of that to say, I'm not here to judge the girl. I wish her all the best. I hope she takes advantage of the situation, of the marriage, and does what's best for her children, does what's best for her, and hopefully get herself in a better situation through his 20-year term or even beyond that. Because again, it's not like she can't get divorced. She could divorce him while he's in jail, to be honest. So enough on current events, because I don't really like to dive into gossip or anything like that, but I felt it was quite relevant to my topic today. So I really appreciate you guys coming to me today and watching and tuning in and being, tuned into what I have to say, because everybody has a story, so you don't necessarily have to listen to mine. So I appreciate you guys. Lots of love. I like to end out with, on my blog, if any of you have visited, www.queenmochamamas.com. On my about page, I do have a, I would call it a mission statement, but I really don't know if I want to call it a mission statement. But nonetheless, I'm going to close out every session with my pledge. That's what I call it, my pledge. It says, I am a woman. I vow to love me first and know that I am worthy. I am strong. I am loved. I am imperfectly perfect. And I want all of you to recite that. I should have it memorized by now, but I don't. So that's probably why you see me looking off to the side, because I am reading it. But nonetheless, recite that to yourselves and know that you are a woman, you are worthy, you are strong, and you are destined for greatness. Until next time,